Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. My name is Suzanne Hall. I'm from San Diego Zoo Global. We are very pleased to be partnering with the U.S. State Department to foster potential solutions to address wildlife crime. We hope to have a very robust discussion about this topic over the next half hour, and I'd like to invite the State Department's Undersecretary for Economic Growth, Energy, and the Environment to the podium, Ms. Catherine Novelli. She's going to introduce our panelists.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello. I don't think this is. Hello? All right. Actually, can you guys hear me? I don't know if this is on. Hello? Hello? All right. I'm Kathy Novelli. I am the Secretary of State for all right, is this one? All right. Sorry about that. I'm the Undersecretary of State for Economic Growth, Energy, and the Environment. And one of the other things I do at the State Department is I am in charge of all of our outreach on IT and the internet. And so for me, this is the perfect panel discussion because it combines two things that I feel passionate about, which is IT and conservation. And I am so pleased to have here with me on this stage John Scanlon, who is the Secretary General of the Convention on the International Trade of Endangered Species, otherwise known as CITES, as well as Chris Veers, who is the Executive Director of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And we are here to talk about the topic of the Zoohackathon, and you may all wonder what in the world is a Zoohackathon. And what a Zoohackathon is zoos presenting issues that they need help solving to computer programmers and having them go at it and see what they can do in terms of solving those, either by writing programs that are implemented or doing apps. And so we have been partnering on 3 continents with zoos to submit and CITES to submit their problem sets, and then the hackathon will take place around the world and we will announce winners. And we are really copying something that we have successfully done with fish. We started this several years ago with what was called a fish hackathon with a similar situation, and we have now expanded to 40 cities for the fish, and we're looking forward to doing something similar with the zoos. But we're going to start small, just 3 continents and a handful of zoos to start. But I would love to hear from both of you, John and Chris, about how you see the intersection of technology and conservation. John?
Thank you very much, Undersecretary Novelli, and good afternoon all. For a start, let me express deep gratitude to the United States. It's been an extraordinary supporter of CITES and combating illegal wildlife trade. President Obama's taken a whole-of-government approach, engaging right across the United States government to tackle this illicit trade. And this is one manifestation of that, which is greatly appreciated. And CITES is also called the Washington Convention, because it was adopted in Washington, D.C. back in 1973. In terms of technology, I think the starting point is the first thing we need is well-trained and well-equipped rangers and enforcement officials. So we need these individuals on the ground who've got a decent pair of boots, decent training. Assuming we have that and these people are able to deploy technology, then we've got extraordinary opportunities through the use of modern technologies, and it is a game changer in terms of CITES, combating illegal trade, and also ensuring where wildlife products can legally be traded, that we can actually ensure they are legal through tracing that from source to destination. And we're seeing technologies emerge in multiple areas. You can look at the whole thing with DNA and isotopes. You get one thumbnail of ivory and you can now date it and locate it. So for those who are illegally trading in ivory and stockpiling and thinking 20 years' time they can sell it, no way. Forever you can determine date and origin and its illegality. But then you have this great opportunity with surveillance now. Surveillance from the air, on the ground, through the internet, because the internet is abused for illegal wildlife trade, as for other illicit trade. But you now, through the surveillance and the technologies available there, and simple things like apps. An app to allow people to report illegal trade where they see it. And one great thing I heard of recently, it doesn't sound like a great use of new technology, but we all know what WhatsApp is, yeah? Well, in the ASEAN region, there's a group of people now that have created a WhatsApp group. They're all fisher folk, and they take photographs of shark fins so they can help each other identify those fins through sight. So there's a lot of technology from quite sophisticated to quite simple, and so we think this Zoohackathon's fantastic because you're tapping into another form of technology that this is all about, and that is our own ingenuity, which is fantastic. So thank you very much. Great being here.
Thanks. And I love hearing those stories. It's a perfect marriage of what's here naturally and brain power, as you say. Chris, I'm going to.
Thank you, Undersecretary Novelli and Secretary General Scanlon. I'm very pleased to be here on stage with both of you to talk about this issue. So the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or AZA, represents 231 members, zoos and aquariums, mostly in the United States, but also in 8 other countries. And certainly conservation and the conservation of wildlife and habitats is of the utmost importance to us. I think for you to be here, Secretary General, is wonderful because, as we know, the entire premise of CITES is built on legal trade, and what we're talking about in the Zoohackathon is trying to figure out how to curtail the illegal trade in wildlife and wildlife products. I'm very proud to say that 4 AZA institutions will be participating in the Zoohackathon: the National Zoo, the San Diego Zoo Global, St. Louis Zoo, and the Woodland Park Zoo, which is in Seattle. I do understand from my international colleagues that the Sydney Zoo will be participating, as well as the Zoological Society of London. And as you two have said, what better way to marry the zoos and aquariums who are really committed to solving wildlife conservation with bringing in the talented, probably younger than I am, folks who are willing to solve all of these problems and do so using technology. So, very honored to be here and to be working with the two of you on this Zoohackathon. And as you said, Undersecretary Novelli, we did work with you and the State Department on the Fish Hackathon, which my understanding was very successful and created some really interesting applications that are in use today.
Right, and so to all of you out there who might be coders or problem solvers sitting in the audience, we urge you to think about coming to the Zoohackathon, signing up for it, and actually seeing what you can do to turn your hand at solving some of these problems. And I know that we have actually now a demonstration of one of the apps that's in development, and so I would invite you to watch that.
As Secretary General Scanlon mentioned, there are apps out there that allow people to report wildlife crime. We are very proud to be partnering with Taronga Zoo out of Australia to bring Wildlife Witness, this app, to North America. It was developed as a partnership between Taronga Zoo and Traffic, the Wildlife Trade Monitoring Network, and the development was funded by a Google grant. The app, what is it? Well, it allows folks around the globe, lay people, anyone who wants to make a difference, to hold the power of making a difference in the palm of their hand. It's a downloadable app for your cell phone, and it allows you to report incidents of wildlife crime that you observe. And this is what the app's interface looks like on your phone. And we'll walk through a little bit of what's on here so that you can understand better what the capacity of the app is. First of all, if you go to the Make a Report tab, you have an opportunity to enter information and a photo about wildlife crime that you witness. And when you make a report, the report will be sent to a crime analyst with Traffic Southeast Asia, who will utilize the information provided to build reports that are disseminated through iBase to a variety of different law enforcement agencies. And you can look at the app and see the maps, the map locations of where reports have been made. If you click on a specific spot, you can get information about what was reported at each location. The information provided in this part of the app is very limited, in part to protect the privacy and the confidentiality of the reporters. We don't ask people to submit their names, and we don't share that information with people. We want to keep the people who are reporting on illegal wildlife trade safe. So this part of the app is anonymous, but you can get an idea when you're traveling around the globe, when you are in areas where a lot of activity has been reported by people before you, and what types of activity that might be. But if you're just starting out, you're not a conservation professional or a wildlife expert, you might want to know what animals and plants should I be looking out for out there. And the app has a tab that allows you to learn something about the species that are most heavily traded across the globe. When you click on the tab, you can choose from a number of different species, and you'll see some information not just about the species, but also about the types of products that show up in market to help you identify what those products are. And as you can see, we have a number of different species represented, and plants as well. And we provide information about how to identify different products in a market, how to keep yourself safe while you're reporting. And so that's just the gist of what the app does. It's a conservation tool. It allows lay people to get engaged and help to end wildlife trade by reporting incidents they see. And it also is an educational tool. It teaches people about what types of species are at risk and how those species are translated into products in the market that they can identify and report on. Wildlife Witness so far has been downloaded more than 10,000 times, and it has contributed to over 1,200 intelligence reports related to over 480 species of wildlife out there. So it's been a very helpful tool so far, and we hope that through partnering with Toronto Zoo to bring this to North America, and other zoos are bringing it to other parts of the globe like Europe, we're going to be able to get more people engaged in participating in solving this problem of wildlife crime. Thank you very much.
So before we let you go, I just want to say, everybody sitting here, we need your help. We will not save these animals unless we all work together, and we all have a responsibility to do what we can do. And one of the great things about these apps is that it allows regular people to actually do something. So whether you're going to actually code and write an app or whether you're going to use it, we really hope that you'll get involved and stay involved so that we can all work together to save these animals that won't be here if we don't take the responsibility. So thank you very, very much for being here.